Happy New Year, guys, and welcome to Scorched Earth Tarot. I'm going to do something a little different to usual, and it's only for this round of readings, so bear with me. And I'm recording this as an intro to all of the videos that I'm doing for the beginning of January. If this isn't your bag and you want to skip straight to the reading, have a look at the timestamp in the comment box down there. And the chances are, if you need to skip ahead to the reading without listening to what I had to say, then you're probably not the people that this is addressed to anyway. So it's fine. No shade, and I'm not even slightly offended. You know, you do you. It's all cool. But I have a few things that I wanted to say, and I kind of feel quite strongly that I do need to say this. The first off, I want to express extreme gratitude for waiting for me, because I know that these readings are late, and I'm very grateful to you for that. But also just for being here and joining me. The last 6 months have been a bit of a wild ride, and my life has changed in quite a lot of ways, and you guys are definitely part of that, and I don't think that you quite have any idea how much you've changed my life, so I love it. The reason the videos are late is because Christmas holiday was quite enlightening for me in a lot of ways, as well as the usual stresses and pressures of, you know, the holiday season and whatnot, and having, you know, 5 children, and trying to make special that time, as special as possible that time. I also had some fairly extreme kind of planetary stuff going on, which I wasn't really aware of until it was brought to my attention, and I was quite oblivious to the effects of right up until about, I don't know, the turn of the year. And then it all hit me in kind of like 48 hours. So Peter, if you are watching, all the stuff that you told me suddenly made all sorts of sense. It was kind of an ascension of sorts, and I was panicking a little bit about getting the videos uploaded and all that kind of thing. And then it struck me that what I actually really needed to do was rest and kind of recover from the transformations that had been occurring. So I took time to do that, and I'm sorry if these videos being late negatively affects anyone, but I feel like you will probably understand. So thank you. What else do I have to tell you? I think that's probably just about everything. But I wanted to just record the intro and say, you know, thank you so much for waiting, for subscribing, for watching, for your donations, for your personal reading bookings. And I kind of got slammed with those over Christmas as well. There was a period of about a week where I was getting 15, 20 requests a day, and I am going to work my way through all of those. But with everything else that was going on, it was a little bit overwhelming, and I really needed to retreat. So that's what I've done. But I'm back. And I'm so excited for 2020, I can't even tell you. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you very, very much. I'm extremely grateful for all of you. That's what I was going to say. When you're recording videos and you're saying the same thing over and over again, it starts to feel less authentic. To me anyway. So knowing that I had 12 videos to do, and that I wanted to kind of express this to you all, I wanted to do it once in the spirit that I feel it, without it just becoming a kind of repetitive thing that I'm saying over and over again and starts to lose its feeling over time. So that's what I've done, and it'll only be for this month. Next month it'll be back to usual blather. Yeah, on with your reading. Hi Virgo, this is going to be a reading for Sun, Moon and Ascendant Virgos. Hope you're well. Hope you had a good New Year and Christmas and all that jazz. If I haven't already wished it to you in the previous message. And if you watched that, thank you, I appreciate it. If not, no worries. Right, I'm going to shuffle these one more time. Get on with the reading. So, Virgo. This is only probably going to be for one person, but when I was sat meditating on your energy before I started recording the video, all I could hear was Heilung. It was just playing in the back of my head, so that might be relevant to someone. But good choice of music. I like it. For fuck's sake. Right. Okay. 3 cards for Virgo, please. The month of January 2020. Whoa. There's the first one. Got Justice. It's in your recent past, kind of touching present position right there. It's the card of Libra in the Major Arcana, number 11. 2 more cards for Virgo, please. Whoop. Got the Moon. That's the card of Cancer for me, at least. I know some of the readers say it's Pisces, but that's Cancer for me, anyway. Number 18. And one more card for Virgo, please, for January 2020. Ooh. 7 of Wands, that's fire energy. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. It's actually a Leo card, that one right there, but it talks about defending something. At the bottom of the deck, we've got the Ace of Pentacles. That's a nice start. I like that. 2 majors. Going to be a pretty important month for you, I think, in January. Now, the clarifying deck that I'm using is the Marigold Tarot. If you haven't seen it, it's absolutely exquisite. My son bought it for me for Christmas. I saw it on Kickstarter, and it's incredible. So if you're even slightly inclined towards new funky decks, like, boy, did good. Right, let's have a look. Why is Justice here for Virgo, please, for the month of January? There is Justice here. There she flies. Got the Hierophant. That's a card of Taurus, another Major Arcana card. Interesting. There's Justice here. I'm going to take that one because it drops. I like them to jump. Where's Justice here, please? Ace of Pentacles again. That's the second time that's turned up. Right there. It's Earth energy. It's like you. I think the Ace might be the Virgo card as well. I'm not sure. I'll have to look it up. Anyway, why is the Moon here for Virgo? 9 of Wands. It's more fire energy. Oh, that's so beautiful, that card. I love it. There's the Moon here for Virgo. Just have a look at that. All the sunflowers. I absolutely adore sunflowers. They're my favourite flower. Right there. We've got 2. We've got the 9 of Cups and the Queen of Rings. That's the Queen of Pentacles, which is your queen right there. So I feel like that's to you. And 2 9s. Approaching completion. I have to pull another couple of cards for that. Where's the 7 of Wands here for Virgo, please? Where's the 7 of Wands here for Virgo? We've got the 6 of Rings, that's the 6 of Pentacles, more Earth energy. The images on this deck are just incredible. There's 7 of Wands here. And the 2 of Rings. It's the 2 of Pentacles. There's a lot of Pentacle energy here, which is good because that's you. 2 of Swords at the bottom of the deck. So we're talking about making a decision, and it's an intellectual decision because it's swords, right? So the first card that you've got is Justice. Like I said, that is card number 11 of the Major Arcana. It's the card of Libra. And we get the obvious stuff out of the way and the basic stuff out of the way. This can talk about contracts. You can talk about any kind of legal issue whatsoever. You know, kind of drift into business as well. And with the Ace of Pentacles there, I can totally see that being a thing. But personally, because it's Major Arcana, I tend to see this in a broader sense. I tend to see it in a much wider cosmological sense, if you will. And it talks to me about natural justice. It talks about things being right or wrong. And the thing with justice is that it's binary, right? There are very few grey areas that are tolerated by justice right here. It speaks of balance. But it also speaks of karma to me. Right? And I've been seeing this card come up a lot over, I would say, the last month, from about midway through December right up until now, and it's got a really heavy karmic vibe to it. You know, it's the closing of karmic cycles. So the paying of karmic debts as well. You know, if you subscribe to these kind of, you know, energetic ideas, it's like lots of people are paying off their karmic debts and they're closing up these cycles now. There's lots of endings going on and moving away from, you know, situations, people, things that they're now done with, you know. But she's really bold and she's upright. And I love that about the Justice card. You know, being an 11 is talking about soulmates sometimes, but this card as well. And that's where the karmic thing comes in. Yeah, it's usually a pillar card, but there are no pillars depicted here. We've got trees though. And so we're talking about things that have got really deep roots. You know, things that have probably lasted for a long time. And then we've got, interestingly, the Hierophant and the Ace of Rings. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So the Hierophant talks about structure primarily. It's the card of Taurus, and Taurus like structure. They like things to be exactly where they are. They like to know exactly where they are within that given space at any given time. And it's slow moving but committed, dependable, reliable energy. It often talks about situations where you have someone who leads others, right? So it can be a school, or it could be a university, or it could be business. You know, see it often coming up for companies and stuff like that. Any kind of established institution where there is one person at the top who disseminates information to acolytes below. And it's known as the acolyte card, right? Or it's one of the acolyte cards, because usually there are 2 people who are bowed at the feet of the Pope right there, and they're receiving the wisdom, but he gets to decide how much they know. They take that information and then they go off to the, you know, the lower echelons, and they decide how much they need to know, and they, you know, it's a stepped progression, right? So you have to fill in the blanks, you know, as it resonates to you. But it can frequently talk about any institution. So it can sometimes talk about the institution of marriage as well. Remember that this is a general reading, so it's not as tuned in as a personal reading would be. You got to have a look through all of those things that I've just said and see which one applies to you. But if this was a business, then it's possible to see that there would be a possibility of something coming right, something where you've been badly treated justice stepping in to rectify the situation now, and perhaps higher people up have come across what this situation is and they're fixing it for you. That's possible. If it's a relationship, if it's a marriage or something like that, it's possibly a balancing of karmic debts, because what we've got is the Ace of Rings, right? And that's the Ace of Pentacles in a standard deck, and it's also the underlying card at the bottom, the shadow card for the entire read. And that provides the theme, so we interpret everything in the light of the shadow card. And here it is again. It's a pentacle card. So it talks about resources. It talks about those things that you can touch, feel, hear and smell in the 3D. It's tangible where the other aces are not, right? The Ace of Cups is very ethereal. It's a thing, it is, but totally, it's quite heart-centered. It's emotional. The Ace of Wands is very passionate, like that shit's going off in your root chakra, totally, that's that thing. This is a new start with something material. This is something that you can hold in your hands. Now, it's possible that this could indicate a promotion, it could indicate a new job, it could indicate a new home, actually. But whatever it is, it's something new. And I find it interesting that my first thought was going towards karmic debts and stuff like that. And then we've got this new start right here. And this is in your recent past, touching on to the present. And the next card you've got is the Moon. Now, the Moon for me, like, people talk about it being secrets and hidden things and stuff like that, and I guess to a degree I subscribe to that notion, because for me, more specifically, it talks about the subconscious and methods of contacting your higher self, really. But I mean, I'm a big hippie, so that's where my brain goes with it. It's things that are hidden and things that are secret, because they're things that we hold deep within us. Things, the drivers that come from our subconscious that then play out in our conscious actions every day. And if any of you have ever watched my videos before, you know that, like, what I'm primarily interested in is shadow work, right? It's about identifying those deep wounds and those triggers and the blatant misinformation that's been put in there by other people that we constantly react to day after day after day after day. And it dictates the way that we behave towards other people. Somebody will do something and we won't react to that thing. We'll react to the memory of somebody doing it to us before. It really, really hurt us. It's not the same thing. By clearing all of that out and incorporating your shadow, you are no longer triggered by these things. That's what I'm all about. And here it is, which makes me think you've got something bubbling along under the surface that you haven't maybe made contact with, but it's here in your present, so maybe you're about to, because we've got these 3 cards here that have sprung out. The Nine of Wands, the Nine of Cups, and the Queen of Pentacles. Now, the tarot runs in the minor arcana from the Ace to the 2, right the way up to the 10, right? And that is a cycle. Sort of cycles within cycles, right? So the Ace is the beginning and the 10 is the end. And you've got 2 cards of 9s, right? So if a 10 is completion, 9s are just about damn near completion, right? It's coming up. And the Nine of Wands talks about having to make that last stand. That's what it is. Usually it's depicted as a man hanging off his wands, and he's got 8 wands like stacked up behind him, like a fence, almost like a boundary, and he's clinging onto one, and he's bandaged, his hair's bandaged, and he's just generally looking pretty fucked up, actually. And what he wants to do more than anything else is sit down, rest, recover, all of that thing, but he knows he can't. He's got one last battle that he needs to fight. And the wand energy comes from having the ability to draw those reserves of energy up and be able to undertake that fight. And it's nearly done, right? But this one, rather than being wands and having some characters all fucked up and stuff like that, it's sunflowers. That's really interesting to me. Because although they're growing fairly close together and they're jostling, they're not jostling for space. That's the point. You know, they've all picked a level and they're all sitting there. You know, not one of them is battling for supremacy. They're finding their space and they're sitting within it. Like that. Yeah. They are all fairly close together, but the flowers are blooming at different levels. I'm going to pull another card for that because I've got a feeling that it's really deep and the cards on the table are not doing it justice yet. I mean, the message is deep. That's what I'm saying. For it to come out under the moon, which is all about those things that are deep within us that are hidden. Feels like you're going to touch upon those wounds, those triggers, those internal things that you're reacting to, which may not actually be, you know, in front of you. Reacting to what was before rather than what is now. Got the sun at the bottom of that deck now. Right, that's the card of Leo right there. Right. I remember everything that I was just saying about shadow work. Right. The brighter the sun, the darker the shadow. You need to pull them in together to be complete. And we've got completion. We've got conscious and subconscious right there. Right? I love that. The two cards that have come out to clarify are Death and the King of Cups. It's a really interesting combination. Because death is about endings. Right? It's about the universe coming in and clearing out that which does not serve you. That's a real favourite stock phrase of tarot readers. The thing about death is that it's rarely comfortable. When that energy comes in, it's usually sudden and it's usually shocking, just like a death. And it transforms, you know, your situation, what you thought you knew. It's gone. Yeah. But ultimately it's for your benefit. Although it rarely feels like it at the time, I say that. And it's funny that this card of endings should have come up to clarify a card that speaks of almost endings. Yeah. And the King of Cups here. Right, that can indicate a Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio that might be important to you. The gender, like, tarot doesn't give a fuck about gender, so don't worry about that. Just because it's a king, it could be a woman, it could be anyone, right? What's important is the emotion behind it, right? This is someone who has mastered their emotion right here. And I love that it's come up for what we've just been talking about. Because someone who's constantly reacting to triggers, you know, and old wounds and stuff like that is not in charge of their emotions. They are in fact being dictated, you know, their behaviour is being dictated by these subconscious reactions all the time. Then we've got the sun, we've got talking about, you know, bringing it all together, illuminating it. And then we've got the King of Cups underneath. Something has to end for you to be able to get in touch with this and resonate at this level. And you're so close. That's the thing, you're so close. Because the 9 is almost the 10. But it feels like death is usually some sort of, you know, instant catalyzing event that brings this on. And then we've got these two cards that came out together, the 9 of Cups and the Queen of Rings. Now the Queen of Rings is your queen right there, right? She's the mother. She's someone who knows how to make a house a home. She's in fact, I think, the most practical of all the queens when it comes to mothering, because this one will never send their child to school with unbrushed hair, stuff like that. They're always decently clothed, well fed, that kind of thing. It's a very nurturing energy. And this is yours right here. Again, tarot doesn't give a shit about gender, so if you're a man, this could equally be you. And it's coupled with the Nine of Cups. Now, the Nine of Cups is wish fulfillment. Right? Cups speak about feelings and emotions, right? They're the vessels that hold the water, and the water is the feelings and emotions. And if you've got 9 cups, that's a lot of feeling, that's a lot of emotion right there. And you don't just stagger across those. Those take care and time and effort to put together. And it's another 9. Right? It's not quite a 10. Because the 10 is usually depicted as the family, right? In my Llewellyn deck, it's a beautiful scene, and there's a rainbow and stuff like that, and there's a couple and some kids running around and stuff, and it's just blissful right there. The 9, for me, in this case, I think is talking about self-love, because the card preceding this is the 8 of Cups, right? And in that scene, somebody is literally walking away from a pile of 8 cups because it's not what they wanted, right? It doesn't emotionally fulfill them anymore. And walking away from it is actually quite easy because that level of emotional investment isn't there. And the way the cups are stacked on that card, there's one very obviously missing, right? So you add that 1, that Ace of Cups, to the mix, that love of self, and what you end up is this one here. There's a real transformational energy about this reading, Virgo. I'm not even going to lie. We've got Death, which is, is the card of Scorpio, and we've also got the King of Cups, which is Scorpio. These 2 cards together, it's intense emotional transformation is what we're talking about. Because there's something here that you're not happy with. And once you allow this transformation to happen, you hit your 9. Right? You hit your self-respect. You hit your love of self with these things. And it's beautiful. And then there's you there. Nurturing yourself, loving yourself. Like the Queen of Pentacles is a self-care queen. Like, she knows how to look after her needs. The others don't. I mean, the Queen of Cups will literally just stop eating if she hasn't heard from her children for a day. Like that, it's actually slightly oppressive maternal energy, I find sometimes. And the Queen of Wands, she's quite exciting and adventurous, but she might forget to go food shopping, because she's doing something exciting instead. This one's got it nailed, right? But she's got herself, looking after herself, nailed. And this is the transformation that you're about to go through this month. Understanding your own value and feeling it, not just knowing it, but feeling it for yourself. It's going to be a really intense transformational experience, Virgo. The final card that you've got is the 7 of Wands. Now this is a card of defending, right? And it can be defending yourself, it can be defending your emotions, it can be defending your values, actually. It can be defending someone else, or someone else's of those things, But the point is, he's stood here, he's planted his feet on this waterfall. Notice the water, the emotional stuff there. He's being attacked by invisible assailants. He's ready to fight. This is fighting for something that you care very deeply about. And that might be you. Just be careful not to fall into justifying yourself, because you don't need to justify yourself to anyone. Defend yourself, protect yourself as necessary. And whatever it is that this character is defending and protecting, they feel very strongly about it. You feel very strongly about it. But we cannot see where these attacks are coming from. We don't know why this attack is happening. But there's high ground here. And this person stood on it. The two cards that you've got to clarify that are the Six of Rings and the Two of Rings. They're Pentacles cards in standard decks. The Six of Rings is about bringing balance, right? We're back to balance again, duality, you know, pulling in the inner and the outer together, getting yourself balanced. And normally it's shown as two beggars, you know, two paupers sat on the street, and there's a you know, obviously a fairly wealthy merchant who's holding some scales, and he's tossing them food, right? And that pisses me off because it seems like a breadcrumbing, right? And I always wonder why he gets to decide which of the paupers is the virtuous poor and which one, you know, is there because of, say, drug abuse or something like that. You know, you see it all the time. People differentiating incorrectly between these two types of poverty. It pisses me off. Anyway, he is trying to restore balance in some way. Right? Balance. Fucking balance. This is all about balance. Rightly or wrongly, you know, the method that he's doing it in, his intent is correct. But sixes talk to me of movement, right? Always of movement. Just as the fives talk about conflict and change, uncomfortable change, really uncomfortable change. The six is the point of moving away from that, because it's a progression. Right? In whichever way that happens. And this is moving away from a situation that has left you feeling unbalanced, I think, is the thing. It's left you feeling like you need to protect yourself in some way. This is the situation that's coming up for you in the month of January. And I feel like the reason that the knife is here is because it's cutting you free. Yeah. There are two hands that are clasped together, kind of like this, with the knife in between, and there are 5 rings on the hands, and so that's 5 pentacles, and the 5 pentacles talk about poverty, fear of poverty, fear of lack of some description, fear of abandonment, all that kind of thing. And this one knife in the middle is pushing through to the 6th ring, right there. Right? It's cutting yourself free of those feelings. Like I said, this felt deep. I felt like there was a big transformational thing, and this is it. This is the ability for you to cut yourself free. And then we've got the 2 of Rings and 2 of Pentacles. This is about balance again and duality again. You know, the 2s are all cards of the internal stuff that's going on inside you, right? Once you get to the 3, that's when it starts expanding and moving out into the universe, but the 2s are all about what's going on in here. And the 2 of Pentacles is about balance, okay? It's balancing duties and responsibilities and what you want out of your life, and you know, your resources, all those kind of things. And they don't have to be physical resources, they can be emotional resources, they can be, you know, energetic resources of any description. All of these things are present, all of these things are at play, and all of these things require balancing in order for you to live your best life. And the 2 of Rings is saying you're achieving it, you know, just as the 6 of Rings is redressing a balance. This is achieving that balance right there. Oh God, I'm loving this. This is deep as shit. Right, I want to pull some more cards because I'm just really nosy. The card on the bottom of the deck is we've got another 2. Another fucking 2. This is about making a choice, right? And it's an intellectual choice, because in the standard depiction there's a woman and she's blindfolded and all that kind of thing, and she's stood with her back to the sea, right? And the moon's up in the sky, and she's holding 2 swords across her chest, right? She's trying to make a decision. But the swords are identical, right? The choices, the options have equal validity, except that they don't, because the moon is behind her and because the water is behind her. the emotions and all that stuff is there. The subconscious is there in the background, but she's got a back to them. She's choosing not to see those. She's choosing not to incorporate that level of, understanding into the decision making. And so she's depriving herself of the opportunity to make that decision because the decision has already been made. That's the thing. She's just not looking at it yet. And so here we have the moon in the background. Like, I think you know what you want to do, but you're choosing not to think about it at the moment because actually there's stuff going on inside you. Maybe you're not ready to make that decision yet until you start incorporating the shadow part, understanding yourself a little better than you do. Some more cards. 6 rings and the 2 of rings. Got the 2 of swords again. I couldn't make it up. Yeah, I'm going to take that as confirmation for everything that I've just said anyway. 10 of Pentacles. Interesting. Oh, fuck my life. That is incredible. So we've got the 2 of Pentacles, the 2 of Swords, 10 of Pentacles, and the World card. Right there. Right. The 2 of Swords is everything that I just said. Everything. And here it is again, right? It's confirmation of what I just said. You've made your decision. You know what you want to do. You just haven't looked at it properly yet. And that's probably because there's stuff bubbling away underneath. There's a certain level of transformation that you need to go through to get in charge of your emotions before you take that step forwards and, cut out the crap, cut out what you don't need so you can achieve that balance. 10 of Pentacles is about committing to that path, right? It's another ending card right there. God, I love these cards. They're just amazing. But from here, you go to here. Yeah? From the 10 to the Ace. It's a new start. The ending is coming, and you are going to bring it right there. And then, ultimate ending, the World card. I love this. Like, so above as below. As above, so below. Sorry, Hermes. It's the last card of the Major Arcana. It's the end of a cycle, right? From here, you go to the Fool. It's a new start on a new journey in a new direction. And you don't know where you're going, and that's the important thing with the Fool. Like, it's uncharted territory. But whatever this cycle is, it's done, it's complete. Just as I was saying here, it's finished. And I love this because it looks like she sat in a moment of reflection before moving away from the water's edge, right there. Yeah. And the moment of reflection is you sitting before making this decision that you intend to make and getting ready to glide off onto a new start. It's absolutely delicious. I'm so excited for you, Virgo. You'll have to let me know in the comments if this resonated with you. I will, because I'm really intrigued. If this was a personal reading, I'd be all over this with extra cards, but I've already been talking for 34 minutes, so I think that's probably quite long enough. Like I said, if it resonates with you, I'd love it if you'd leave me a like or a comment or something like that. Just give me some context, even if you like. But other than that, I shall go away and I'll return in about a week for the January mid-months. So yeah, Happy New Year and everything. Take